Welcome, everyone, to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today. We're taking something that usually causes a ton of headaches, state bureaucracy, and we're breaking it down into a clear, highly actionable roadmap. Seriously, if you've been putting off dealing with the Missouri Department of Revenue just because the paperwork seems totally overwhelming, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to completely demystify Missouri's process for securing a disabled parking placard using the exact forms and rules you need to know.
So, are you or a loved one in need of a disabled parking placard in Missouri but unsure where to begin? I know navigating state requirements can feel incredibly stressful, but stay tuned as this explainer walks you through every single step of the process to make it as simple and stress-free as possible. You're going to leave here knowing exactly what to do. All right, here's our quick roadmap. We'll cover who qualifies in Missouri, securing your medical certification, completing the application form, the submission and processing steps, proper usage rules, and finally, renewals, replacements, and a few really cool perks. Okay, let's jump right into part one. Who qualifies in Missouri?
What's really fascinating here is that Missouri law defines physical disability by very specific functional limitations, rather than just general diagnosis. They do this to prevent the system from being abused, ensuring these placards go to the folks who truly, absolutely need them. For example, it's not enough to just have a general orthopedic condition. The metric is being physically unable to walk 50 feet without having to stop and rest. Or, if it's a respiratory issue, your FEV1 metric has to be strictly less than 1 liter. These are hard, measurable metrics, like depending on portable oxygen, having an advanced cardiac condition classified as Class 3 or 4 by the American Heart Association, or dealing with legal blindness.
Moving on to Section 2, securing your medical certification.
You'll be dealing with Form 1776. Your medical provider has to mark your exact statutory condition using very specific checkboxes and then physically sign off on it in the signature block. And listen, this isn't just some casual doctor's note. It is a legally binding document. In fact, medical professionals who falsely certify an applicant can be hit with a Class B misdemeanor. That carries up to a $500 fine and 6 months in jail. So yeah, the state takes this stuff very, very seriously.
A super crucial point to remember. A stamped signature from a nurse? That's going to get your application instantly rejected. It absolutely must be a physical, personal signature from an authorized provider. That could be your licensed physician, a chiropractor, physical therapist, podiatrist, optometrist, or an advanced practice registered nurse. And timing is literally everything here. Once they sign that form, the clock starts ticking. You have exactly 90 days from that signature date to submit your application. Also, a quick pro tip. Thanks to modern telehealth options like Parking MD, you can sometimes get this evaluation done right from your couch via secure video call.
All right, Section 3, completing the application form. Let's compare the two distinct categories of placards, because picking the right one totally changes your timeline and your fees. If you're recovering from, say, a surgery, and your recovery timeline is 180 days or less, you're looking for the temporary placard. It'll cost you $2 and is valid for up to 180 days. But if your condition is permanent, you apply for the permanent placard. The cost? Absolutely free. $0. It's valid for up to 4 years, and because of a really smart recent policy change, you only need to get a new medical recertification form every 8 years. This brilliant decoupling saves permanently disabled folks from unnecessary stressful doctor visits just to prove their condition hasn't changed.
To completely remove any anxiety about the paperwork, just follow these 3 simple steps. Step 1, get Form 1776 signed by your doctor. Step 2, fill out Form 2769. That's where you'll put in your info, select if you need a permanent or temporary placard, and sign it. Definitely double-check all your information, because simple mistakes, like forgetting a signature, will absolutely delay the process. Step 3, notarize it if you happen to be replacing a lost or stolen placard, and get ready to submit. Oh, and if mobility is a major challenge, a caregiver can actually submit these forms on behalf of the applicant.
Which brings us to Section 4, submission and processing steps.
You have a choice to make here. If you decide to go in person to a local Missouri license office, like the ones over in Clayton, Raytown, or Cape Girardeau, you will literally walk out with your placard in hand that exact same day. Immediate issuance. But if you'd rather skip the trip, you can totally mail your packet to the Motor Vehicle Bureau in Jefferson City. Just keep in mind, mail-in processing usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, Section 5, proper placard usage rules.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty rules, let's ground this in why it actually matters. Whether it's a grandparent attending frequent medical appointments or a mobility-challenged college student just trying to get across a massive campus, this placard exists to reduce physical strain. It's a tool for independence. And the best part? Thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act, your Missouri placard is officially recognized in all 50 U.S. states. Now, there is a massive myth we need to bust right now. Hanging the placard from your rearview mirror while you are actively driving down the road, that is actually illegal in Missouri. It impairs your forward line of sight. The proper way to use it is to hang it from the rearview mirror strictly when the vehicle is parked. Actually, if your car doesn't happen to have a center rearview mirror, no worries. Just place it clearly on the driver's side dashboard.
This might honestly be the most important rule we talk about today. Placards are strictly non-transferable. You absolutely cannot lend them to a friend so they can get prime parking at a concert. In fact, if law enforcement asks, you must be able to produce two things: the validated Form 2769 registration receipt and a valid photo ID of the actual placard owner. Even if a family member is driving you, the disabled individual must be in the car and you still need to show those documents. Failing to produce them is actually a Class A misdemeanor. So seriously, just keep that receipt tucked safely in your glove box.
And finally, Section 6, renewals, replacements, and some really great perks.
Missouri has some fantastic, demographically targeted policies designed to protect vulnerable folks from constant red tape. For instance, if you're a senior aged 75 or older, you do need a doctor's note for your very first application. But after that, you are permanently exempt from ever needing a medical recertification for renewals. The state just assumes your condition isn't going to suddenly reverse, which saves you both time and money. That exact same exemption applies to disabled veterans who submit a permanent service-connected VA letter. Plus, in recent years, the state has actually started automatically mailing out renewal placards to eligible permanent holders who have a valid address on file. But what happens if you lose your placard? Or worse, it gets stolen? First off, don't panic. Replacements for permanent placards are entirely free. However, you will need to submit a notarized Form 2769. And you must include a copy of that original validated registration receipt we just talked about keeping in your glove box. If you lost the receipt too, well, you might be forced to undergo a complete medical reevaluation and get a brand new Form 1776 signed by your doctor.
Let's end with a fantastic example of municipal integration. While the state handles the placards themselves, local cities often step up to offer extra perks. For example, in the city of St. Louis, if you have a state-issued placard and you don't have an off-street driveway or a garage, you can literally apply to the city to have a designated accessible parking space sign installed on the street right in front of your house. It's an absolute game-changer for daily accessibility. Of course, as with anything involving the government, the rules can and do shift over time. State laws and fees frequently change, so please always double-check the latest forms, fees, and information directly with the Missouri Department of Revenue or official state resources, and consider consulting with legal or medical experts if your specific situation is a bit complex. It's the best way to make sure you remain completely compliant and stress-free. So, knowing the exact steps to secure your parking privileges, are you ready to navigate Missouri with total confidence? You've got the blueprint, you know the forms, and you understand the rules. The bureaucracy really doesn't have to be a barrier anymore. But it does beg a larger, much more interesting question. What other local accessibility tools and rights are hidden behind a wall of paperwork, just waiting for you to uncover them? Thank you so much for learning with us today on The Explainer. Keep observing, keep learning, and we will see you next time.